Hey folks, welcome back to the Rattlebox Games March Mayhem board game throwdown showdown. Here we are, back in the chair recording. I'm Rob with
Brendan. Glad to be back, Rob. Nice to see you again.
And you know who our third guest is?
No, you tell me.
Excitement.
I thought that was excitement I saw over the quarter.
Yes, it is. You can tell because he wears his sunglasses all the time.
Are they those flip-up sunglasses? I think they are.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? The last time that Excitement had to flip their sunglasses up was when they saw the box for our first contender today, the giant, exciting box of TI4.
TI4.
Then you get that majestic space lion on the cover. You get that giant mob of people getting ready to explore, expand, exterminate, and one other X.
Excite.
Excite. That's right. Excitement is so... He likes it because it's a 4X game. So TI4, you know, the giant of the genre. This is its 4th edition, so they've had a lot of time to refine, make the game just perfect. It's no longer an 8-hour behemoth. It's now a 6-hour behemoth, and it's 6 hours of pure excitement. Christian T. Peterson, Corey Konecka, and newcomer Dane Beltrami have done a great job over at Fantasy Flight, really making this the game to beat in terms of its weight class, for sure.
It's so impressive that Fantasy Flight has continued to support this game, not only bringing it back for reprints, but to put the work into it to keep refining the game.
For sure, and you know, that's really rewarding the fans. But it's also clever marketing, right? They get people to buy this game again and again.
You know what? And they don't complain.
No, they don't. They're like, look at all these new stuff I get. I love it.
Now, in here between Dane and Christian, am I seeing a name that's familiar to us here in the March Mayhem bracket?
You are, Rob. It's Corey Konecka, the designer of such games as Star Wars Rebellion that we saw about a couple days ago.
Ooh. Boy, unlike previous brackets, we've got a lot of designers who are coming back again and again and again. Who would you put a giant galactic war against?
Well, it'd have to be somebody small and scrappy to make the contrast really strong.
Well, I'm going to tell you 2 things here. 1, the setting for this next game is small. But 2, the designer behind it is anything but. We have Uwe Rosenberg's 2013 game, Caverna.
Caverna. Oh man, Caverna is great. A refinement on the worker placement style that Rosenberg was working with in Agricola, but not so nasty. A lot of people like the fantasy adventuring that you get to do with Caverna. It comes with boats and boats of tiles. And you know, Caverna might have small dwarves, but it does beat out TI4 in one statistic. You can play 7 people in Caverna. And frankly, you play a 7-player game of Caverna, you're probably taking the same amount of time that you took for TI4.
This is true. I don't know who's going to come out on top here. These are both games that have been out for a while, and they're both games with a following. And once again, Uwe Rosenberg, he is a titan in the field. But TI4 takes up about as much presence in some people's heart as it does on the table.
Indeed. I think the biggest challenge for voters out there is that, unlike some of the other matchups we've seen, these are not only distinct kinds of games, but they're going to have very distinct audiences. TI4 is going to be your classic Ameritrash player. Caverna is very much a Euro game. And so while you and I tend to be Omni gamers, we can like both of these games. And thank goodness I don't have to Solomon-like decide which of these babies should survive. I think there'll be people who really say, like, this is my kind of game. And I think the audience maybe has some strong feelings here.
Well, we'll find out when they vote at Gamefight Show, won't we?
We will.
Now, I want you to do me a favor. Could you grab that packing tape I placed next to your chair?
Got it.
Now, could you tape your hat onto your head, please?
It's on.
All right, because this is a big one. We have the oldest game on the bracket going up against, you know, I know that it's the 11th seed, but I'm telling you, if you count this game out, you're a fool. Jamie Stegmaier back again with Scythe.
No! My hat flew off my head and tore my hair out.
Oh!
Why did I tape it?
I didn't get the good tape. Jamie's going up against Andrea Seyfarth's Puerto Rico.
Oh, a giant of the industry. A giant. This is the game there's a lot of people who point to Catan as starting the Eurogame craze in America. Well, Puerto Rico is the one that cemented it. This is the game where people said, look at this thing. It does stuff differently than I've ever seen before in a game. There's no dice.
There are no dice.
So there's no dice. You are making choices, and all those choices matter. This is a game that has stood the test of time and still gets play regularly at our board game club.
This is the only game in the bracket that both does and does not have an image of Frank Zappa on the cover.
Well, a game that is known for its art but doesn't have a lot of Frank Zappa following is Scythe. Of course, Jacob Razalski's famous mix of traditional Eastern European pastoral style and steampunk mechs really gives Scythe a beautiful look and makes people want to go play it. And then you get...
Well, now, Brendan, you know that the art came before the game. The game was made to fit around the art.
That's right. I mean, Jamie Stegmaier's model of being inspired by a theme and then building a game around that theme has really worked well. It worked with Euphoria. I assume that's what he did with Viticulture, but I guess I can't be sure. But it worked with Scythe. His newest game, Tapestry, he talks about the little models as being an inspiration for how he would shape the game. So this is a method that's tried and true over at Stonemaier Games.
I don't know about that. I'm going to see if he's sold any units. Let me go on the internet. Oh, sorry, my computer just melted.
As it should, because Scythe is a monster in the industry, and it's going to be a real challenge for the lovers of classic games like Puerto Rico to figure out how to balance its prominence in the industry and in the history of game design versus the excitement of the newer kid on the block Scythe.
I have to tell you, it's no problem for them at all. All they've got to do is one thing, and that thing is go to Twitter to @GameFightShow.
@GameFightShow.
And vote, vote, vote. If you don't vote, they don't float. Oh, that sound means it's time to throw to Eleanor for the results from the last showdowns here in the March Mayhem Throwdown.
I'm here with your results. Yesterday was a day of huge upsets. The hopes of Lord of the Rings fans have been corked as 12th seed War of the Ring 2nd edition were crushed under the bare and wine-stained feet of 21st seed Viticulture. Meanwhile, in what is being called by many the greatest upset in the history of the tournament, 2nd seed Pandemic Legacy Season 1 was savagely eradicated by 31st seed Blood Rage. What a brutal reminder of the unpredictability that is inherent to the March Mayhem tournament. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, voters. We'll see you over at @GameFightShow where the voting will go down, and we'll see you right back here in your ear holes tomorrow with more exciting excitement to excite your excitement.
I can't wait to look in your ear holes.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.